It's Sue here with you and fans of the framework. Hope you're all having a great week. Hey, popping in here today to talk about a very important pillar or strategic priority that we love talking about, which is the people pillar. And in particular, wanted to talk about the topic about the fact that this is often the strategic priority or pillar that gets pushed off when there's competing priorities and there's lots of different things that we need to work on in our organizations or that we want to strategize and prioritize around in our organization. Seems to be the people pillar is that strategic priority that gets deprioritized or gets put off. So then what can happen is later becomes too late. Some of you know Jane and I's story about when we were healthcare leaders in an organization that was really unhealthy. It was struggling in many ways, in probably every way that you could measure the success of a healthcare organization or the health of it. We were certainly on the unhealthy side, and our trends were moving in those downward directions. And for 2 years, we strategized and we tried to figure out the plans and what we were going to do about it. But for 2 years, we really put off doing anything. We didn't just start, we didn't take action. And so when we did decide to just start, we were in a worse situation than when we realized we had a problem. And so, we see this happen in other organizations too. It happens to be why we kind of adopted the mantra, just start. You see that in a lot of our posts and in our speaking is we talk about just start. And so I wanted to talk about some of those key things because I work with healthcare organizations on strategic planning. I've been doing those people strategy sessions that you could sign up for. I have another one coming up in July that's a 4-hour workshop virtually with healthcare organizations, senior leaders around creating a strategy for your people pillar. But in this work that I'm doing with things such as the People Strategy Workshop, but also working with our partners and potential partners, is I'm hearing this theme a lot lately that reminds me of when, our organization was in that, what do we do about this? Do we put resources towards it? Do we actually start doing something about it? So I want to talk about the 5 top reasons why I see that this priority gets pushed down on the priority list, maybe doesn't get resources, does get time, energy, and focus on it. Number one is many organizations don't know what, if anything, to do about it. Like, will anything work to improve your people pillar? And by your people pillar, I mean, elevating behavior, performance, and contributions in your workforce so that they can contribute and be engaged and contributing to a great patient experience, a safe patient experience, great results, improvements and those kind of things. So, the number one reason that we see that a lot of organizations don't prioritize this as a strategic priority is they're not sure, one, what to do about it. So if they prioritized it, they can't even imagine what they would do to act on it. And they don't even know if they did anything, whether or not, that would lead to any improvements. Other strategic priorities when it comes to things like growth, such as expanding your building and your space by adding new services, technology, maybe even changing some of your infrastructure, like your equipment technology or electronic health records. Those kind of strategies are actually kind of easy peasy when it comes to creating, what's the plan for doing those things. I know some of you that have worked on some of those projects say, hey, it wasn't so easy peasy. But when you get into an area like, your culture and changing the patient and employee experience and strengthening and synergizing leaders, those things under the people pillar, people are like, well, what do we do about it? And it's going to take us a long time to figure it out. And will it really be worth it? So we go after those things that are more tangible, more concrete as far as strategies go. And they might appear to be, more sure things in comparison to investing in your people strategies. Another top reason why this gets put off or deprioritized is it's really sometimes difficult for organizations to determine what's the return on investment, right? What's the business case for this? And so that can be one of those things where, again, with technology, we got, or a new program or a new piece of, equipment or whatever, where we're like, oh, well, we can do a business case on this. We can do a pro forma and we can map out that we're going to get a return on investment. And so sometimes the people pillar things like improving the patient employee experience, strengthening and developing leaders, those kind of things feel like they're soft stuff where there isn't a concrete return on investment. For those of you that might be thinking that, I would just encourage you to ask for our reference list, talk to organizations that we have worked with, and hear their stories about them, just amazing return on investment that they've gotten for investing in this strategic priority. An organization that more than doubled their revenues in 4 years, and have been still growing like crazy since then. They highly, correlate their efforts to invest in their people strategies as the reason why. In Jane and I, our own experience, our organization grew like crazy because we strengthened that people pillar. So we engaged our employees, elevated behavior and performance to create a great patient and safe patient experience, those kind of things. And we got more patients. Our volumes went up, our revenues went up, and yes, our finances improved. So it does seem like soft stuff, I know, but there is a hard return on investment for investing in your people strategies. And I would encourage those of you that aren't sure what those kind of things could be and don't want to take it just from us, we'd love to connect you to CEOs and other senior leaders that are seeing the really strong financial return on investment for the dollars and the energy they've put into their people pillar strategies. So, number three reason it gets put off is that organizations get ready to get ready. So, it's kind of like the idea of cleaning your house before you hire a housekeeper. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but we know people that do that. And it's a similar behavior. We'll hear people say this we want to do this, we want to invest in this, we want to embark upon, a journey to excellence that prioritizes the people pillar, but we want to get a few things shored up first. We want to, maybe fix our staffing problems first, or hire our CEO first, or shore up our senior leadership team first, or or get through the pandemic. But we certainly, again, can share with you great examples, great case studies of organizations that did just start, and in spite of things like that, of this feeling of getting ready to get ready, is put that aside and they did just start. And so things like, building a new building just started. In a pandemic, just started. Didn't have a CEO, just started. I mean, we have real examples where it is possible to be able to do that. So those competing priorities, that kind of goes into another reason why this gets put off is, we do have competing priorities, and this one gets to the bottom. We certainly, when we work with organizations on strategic planning, say to narrow the focus, right? But not narrow it to the point of taking this one out. In fact, if you could only have one, we would say this is it. Because if you can get this one right, it positively impacts every other strategic priority, every other pillar in your organization when you get this right. So if you had to narrow it down to only one, we would compel you that this is the right one. But we have those competing priorities like building new buildings. Maybe you're just starting an electronic health record conversion. Again, maybe you're still in the throes of, the pandemic and those kind of things. But again, we've had example after example of organizations that did just start with those other priorities in process or on the table, and you do them in parallel, right? You do them in parallel. And that's one of the reasons why we've created Ascend, our platform for helping organizations improve their people pillar strategies, such as improving the employee experience and engagement, improving the patient experience to be safe and satisfying, and also strengthening and synergizing leaders and creating an always improving, always agile organization. The reason that we've created Ascend is we know you have those competing priorities, right? They're not going to go away. There's always going to be competing priorities, no matter how great you are. And keeping the priority on this as a foundational component of a very strong, agile, flourishing organization, we can make that easier for you, right? So that reason it gets put off is we don't know what to do. Well, guess what? We've got 16 years experience in dozens of healthcare organizations where, we know the roadmap. We know the solutions to put in the hands of employees and leaders to create those kind of flourishing people strategies. And so we know you have those competing priorities, and it's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. So when does this one come to the top and get on the list? And can we make that easier for you? Absolutely, yes. That's why we developed our service, is to be able to help organizations do it quicker and easier, not have to do all the heavy lifting, because we realize those competing priorities are always going to be there. And then lastly, a reason why it gets pushed to the bottom is, limited resources. And definitely that's always going to be the case too. I don't know too many organizations that say that, they have unlimited resources as far as money to be able to invest in their strategic priorities. And that's time, talent, and also dollars. And again, with that in mind, that is some of the things that we've considered in pricing how we work with organizations. Is we call it micro pricing. We actually look at, what's the patient revenues in an organization, and are you willing to invest less than 1% of those? I mean, less than 1% of those, to create a great workplace, to create a great patient experience, to strengthen and synergize your leaders, to achieve goals and accomplish strategies and projects. So, the idea there is it doesn't have to be overly costly either. And so then it's easier to get that return on investment. And so those are the top reasons why this strategic priority of your people pillar gets pushed off. These are the ones that we're seeing. Maybe you're seeing other ones. Other reasons why organizations are deprioritizing the people pillar and the strategies around that. In some organizations, they may actually prioritize it as far as actually putting it on their plan, but then they don't know what to do with it, or they don't execute on it. So at least they've gotten to the point of putting it on their plan. But if you have other things that are coming to mind to you when you see, wow, our organization really needs to prioritize this, but we're not because of X, we'd love to hear about it. That would help us understand, what's going on in organizations beyond what we know in our conversations and interactions with healthcare leaders all across the country. We'd love to hear your input on why it gets deprioritized. Want to invite you to, we've got an event coming up. We're going to do a demo of our Ascend platform, which is our e-innovation platform, where 2 years worth of plans that we put in the hands of 4 innovation teams, a steering team, an employee engagement team, a patient experience team, and also an employee training and communication team, and then a platform that is a leader platform for all of the leaders in the organization for strengthening and synergizing leaders. So this platform is 2 years of plans, and this platform that brings forward coaching briefs, training modules, everything that you need to be able to map out 2 years worth of execution on your strategic people priority. And so we'd love to demo that for you, and we're going to do a public demo of that on July 16th at noon Eastern time, and we'll be putting out a sign up for that shortly. So we'll have Whitney put that in the comments of how you can sign up for that demo on July 16th at noon Eastern time of our Ascend e-innovation platform. But if you want a private demo, we certainly would love to have a conversation with your organization, demo the product for you, so that you can see for yourself, ask the questions that you specifically have. So if you want to do that, you could book a call with us, capstoneleadership.net/call, CALL, or you could go to our website, capstoneleadership.net, and see a place there on the contact us where you could book a call. So thanks for your time today. And again, if you have any input or other ideas about what gets in the way of people being a strategic priority in your organization, we'd love to hear that in the comments too. Bye now.